Hello, and welcome back. This is Jacob, and today we are gonna be continuing the narration and character voice acting for the main story of Arknights, episode 14, aka chapter 14, Absolved Will Be the Seekers. Alright, part 2 for this, so let's get this show on the road. For anybody who bumps into the voiceover through this very part, you can find the playlist for this and many other stories that are connected to the main story in the description of the video, or just any other side story that you want to listen to from Arknights itself. Pretty much are all on the channel. Enjoy, you can find them just by one quick search, and thank you very much in advance. Hope you enjoy. And speaking of thank yous, guys, thank you very much for all the comments and the likes that you left on the previous part, and in general, really helping out a lot and mean a lot as well. And especially because I saw a couple of comments who and this is kind of surprising. I've never looked at people, how people are liking the redesign of W, essentially because, you know, visual and stuff like that. I do like that I saw a couple of comments that are pretty much agreeing with me that they don't like, at least don't like the shoulders, with one being that they don't like the entire redesign of W, which is fine, is fair. But I do like that there are people who really don't like the shoulders. I'm really happy with that. I thought I'm gonna be the only one on that aspect, but yeah, I am happy to know that there are more people who really don't like those shoulders. Good, that's good. Anyway, speaking of that, I do have one thing with her design, and oh yeah, I also saw one of you point out, I can't remember who it was, one of you point out that they would rather have the design essentially of her that we have pretty much all the way up until this point, that we have right now essentially in the story, before probably later she changes into Vishadel attire. But the outfit that we have right now, that was also in the previous part, I would personally also like that as a skin. But then again, this is Hypergriff. There's like a shit ton of skins for these characters out there that have never been turned into actual skins that you can get in any kind of shape or form. They're literally just existing, and it's a sad thing. But anyway, that's for another day, right? But one other thing, speaking of Vishadel's design, I hope, and this is just my assumption with what they're going with there, with her current design, comparing it through all the skins in the story up until the very first one from back in Darknight's memoir. Essentially, it's pretty much clear what is happening, right? She went from the Darknight's memoir skin, which is pretty bulky, pretty heavy mercenary equipment, you know, pretty proper gear, what you expect for someone who is on a battlefield to wear, right? But as time progressed, she kept dropping more and more and more and more until, well, whatever happens with visual design happens, I guess. But if the story there is just her kind of like accepting herself and getting to terms with her true self kind of thing, I get it. But did we really have to drop clothing for that? Could we have not done that in a more, I don't know, better way? I know what some people are gonna say. Skin sells. I know the midriff and the legs. I know people are horny for that shit. I'm not. I don't give a shit about that. W is just, in my book, is just lucky that she is a good character and that I enjoy her as a character. Otherwise, I don't even know where I would just probably just shoved her in a corner. If her naked is supposed to be attracting people, and myself, she would have been just in a corner somewhere. I would have not even looked at the character. I don't give a shit about naked characters. For that, other stuff exists. Anyway, with that right out of the way, she's fine. She's lucky that she's a good character. But yeah, anyway, let's proceed with the quick recap. For those of you who want to skip it, the timestamps are down below in the comment section, and you know where to go from there. So then, on the previous part, we began pretty much with a flashback dating back into Babel, with a little scene between small Amiya and Theresa, as we hear Theresa tell a story about a little sock puppet, and we've heard about that story already in the Babel story, but here we get a bit more shown, and we also get a bit of bunny ear lore, as that was That was adorable. But the flashback and substantially what seems to be also a dream that Amiya has at the moment, a memory, essentially, ends. Amiya wakes up and together with the dog proceeds to reconvene with the rest of the group, as we are now right back where we left off in the previous chapter at the live bone, with everybody essentially present now. The mission is very simple. Take the live bone, get to Londinium, and airdrop essentially above the shard and get the shard back under control. It's very simple, but we'll see how that goes. But first, we see a scene between Theresa, the current Theresa, and Theresa's, as they are what seems to be saying their final goodbyes, as Theresa seems to be heading out on what may or may not be her final journey as she lifts off with the airship. Meanwhile, our team lifts off, but also soon, very soon, crashes back down somewhere close to Londinium inside of a canyon. And what crashed them, we get kinda teased at very briefly from two different perspectives. One being Catherine inside of the city of Londinium. As she goes up to the surface to check what is happening, she notices that the cloud cover that is surrounding Londinium and is above the shard itself has disappeared, and something else is there right now. As she panics, we swap scenes to the Duke of Castor and her ship, and we see, or rather hear about them getting attacked from the shard by a red flash and bright white light. When it dissolves, we get to see from the perspective of our Rhode Island personnel, from Doc, Calcid, and Amiya, that the entire area has been engulfed essentially in a giant catastrophe, as everything, the land itself, is being changed and shape-shifted around. But in the middle of it, the war between the Sarkas, the Naxxer army, and the Duke forces is also being ravaged in the very heart of that catastrophe. After that, we see Nezalem, the Naxxer, essentially, approach one of the blood altars that were set up during the previous chapter, and at this specific one, he finds the droplet of blood that Ducarel, the Sanguinarch, was carrying inside of him, the Tika's blood, and as he acquires it, he hands it over to Salus, who keeps it inside of her body now for safekeeping for the time being. Meanwhile, Manfred and a Naxxer female character that we get introduced to, Nadine, are talking, and it seems that Manfred will be heading out to reacquire the Faramut bones, and our dear body Trilby Asher, on the other hand, seems to notice our group of exemplars, essentially, but gets intercepted before he can do anything by a new enemy type that we get introduced a tiny bit later by the name of a Sudaram, a Naxxer elite kind of high, bulky, big enemy that is stupidly powerful and is pretty much a ghoul vampire, a truly ghoulish vampire. That thing eats its own kind and it just grows stronger from there. But after the kerfuffle, Siege manages, together with Closure, to acquire the voice recorder that Trilby Asher left behind, with a message to proceed into a certain direction where the sword should be brought. After that, everybody reconvenes on the lifebone on the Faramut skeleton ship, as they are discussing the plans that will be proceeding forward. Pretty much the entire team will be splitting up into three groups. One team will be staying behind to guard the skeleton, which will mostly consist of Ines, W, Ascalon, and Hoderer, and also guarding Ursula, who is being imprisoned there. Another team will head into another direction, which is being helmed by Siege, and Closure will be accompanying her. And the third team will be Amiya, Calcid, Doctor, and Logos heading out in another direction. And once the meeting ends, pretty much everybody sets out to do the task that was decided for them. We begin with our team with the Doctor. As they are heading through a marsh, they encounter a familiar trio that has escaped the Lifebone. Essentially, the 3 Sarkas that we've encountered in Chapter 13 prior, the shopkeep, the driver, and the miner have run away essentially by stealing a vehicle as well on top. But they ran away pretty much because they were scared that if they stay there, something might happen to them. But through Driver, who asks the group if they can join up with them just to get out safely out of the area, because they're pretty much in the middle of a war zone. Amiya accepts, and the group heads out. However, very soon after that, they encounter a new threat. The very Sudaram, or another Sudaram, pretty much appears before them inside of the marsh, and it engages in combat with everybody. Seems that even Monster itself cannot do much against it. Logos can keep it busy, essentially, but it still keeps chasing after them. And with a combined effort, essentially, from Logos, Monster, Amiya, and a tiny little help with some vampire that seems to be in the area, the Sudaram gets beaten. Now, who was the vampire that beat them? Well, it was Driver. She essentially is a vampire, even though her bloodline is pretty thin, as she says. However, she did carry shards of the essentially blood altars that she was delivering in the prior chapter all over the place. And in a moment of trying just to help out, she swallows a couple of those shards essentially, and the inside contained blood of the Sanguinarch pretty much triggers and enhances her powers, but also has a little side effect about changing her body, and essentially worms, the blood worms are essentially just pretty much protruding and growing out of her body in kind of a very grotesque way. However, because she fears that she is now seen as an enemy and such from the rest of the group, and she could put them in danger potentially, she does ask Amiya and the group to essentially end her life, and also asks Amiya to give her a heroic dream, essentially, as the King of Sarkas would do to heroes. But Amiya refuses, asks her for her name, essentially, her real name being Marilla, and wholeheartedly accepts Marilla as just another companion on the journey, which obviously lifts Marilla's heart up immensely. And that is pretty much where we left off. The only other thing I can note here is the very thing that seems to be descending from the sky is something by the name of Amnanan, aka the Kunabula, aka Cradle of Suffering. So, fun times ahead, right? But yeah, anyway, let us proceed with today's part. So, today we will be obviously finishing off where we left off on stage 3 and going all the way to the end of stage 5. Now, one extra thing I will note here, there will be clips again at the end of today's part, but also the hidden front has been unlocked from stage 5. So I did a recording. It's a pretty short, like 10-minute recording, going through it as much as I could in just one pass, as far as I could take it, because I think I need to, if I remember correctly right now, I need to go to stage 11 for some things in there, so I cannot proceed. But I did record it. It will be in the clip section at the end of the video, so kind of counted as a added pseudo let's play section of this whole narration, so you can watch it at the end of this part. But we'll proceed with stage 3 now, and before we do so, we do have one new enemy to introduce here. But first, let's introduce the enemy in a proper order. Starting from standard difficulty, we have the Sarkas Wither Bulwark. Veteran guards of the Naxir King's legions, martyrs who advance to certain death knowing that others will carry their blood-soaked shield. Who will be carrying the blood-soaked shield? Well, if we go into Adverse back, these guys, the Sarkas Withered Aegis, elite guards of the Naxir King's legions, the Aegis of hatred and war, is a role of ultimate protection and sacrifice. Well, the powered up version essentially. But yeah, anyway, let's continue on from this stage titled Hammer and Anvil, Vanquished. Here we wage war on death. So let's go with the after scene. "23 hours into the operation. The route ahead has been cleared. I'll continue scouting the Sarka's army's movements. Haven't found any trace of them yet. Thank you, Misery. Continue to set up those sentry posts. Morgan, found any surviving Victorian soldiers where you're at? I'm afraid not. Nothing but originium crystals here. We haven't run into any Victorian troops, corpses, or wrecks since we entered the westbound forest. Damn it! We can tell there's been a bloody huge battle, so where have all the people gone? The terrain here keeps changing. Maybe the ground ate them all up. We cannot underestimate the tenacity of the people. It is only because there are those who refuse to give up that the exemplars even exist. It's why we're here in the first place. Shearer, keep the medics ready to receive any army remnants and civilians. We've got extra supplies, so no need to worry on that front. The bad news is that with so many infected among our troops now, it's almost impossible to distinguish between infected and uninfected soldiers. I'd like your professional opinion on that matter. Would registering the infected help our men or not? Funny you should ask. Registering the infected? That might have been the first thing they taught me at the military academy. But where we stand now, I'd say there's no real sense to it. I see. Then let's stop registering them. Just try your best to provide everyone, infected or not, with Rhodes Island's recommended protective measures. The rest is not up to us anymore. At least not for now. Let's all focus on surviving this war first, then we can worry about the wars to come. Oh, my drone's back! How awful. The entire propulsion system has been clotted up by crystal dust. Based on monitored data, environmental originium concentration is still fluctuating wildly. Send me the data you just got, Rock. I've got a new iteration of our originium activated trend model, and I want to see if our calculations fit real-world data. Looks like there's not enough data to do that. The trend of this curve... Let's wait for Victor's team to finish off that diffractometer analysis report. Then we should be able to calculate these safe areas in real time. This place freaks me out. It's like 1 minute it's deadly quiet, the next there's some terrifying originium mountain pushing its way out of the dirt. The safe areas keep changing. Although we've managed to re-establish short-range comms after working our asses off, if you go even a step out of range, all that interference will just get in the way again. Good thing I planned ahead and asked Radiant for her arts unit before we left for Londinium. After a little copy and paste, I made a knockoff version. It's not as good as the real deal, but it should help. Once we've got these portable communication towers up, we'll be able to transmit the location of safe areas to anyone on the battlefield who needs them. This information will save many lives. Well, yeah. That's what Rhodes Island does. Horn, status update. We've successfully arrived at Gibsonham. It's the last supply point before we reach the front at Silver Rock Bluffs. The reconnaissance teams already made their initial scouting report. Looks like there are traces of the ducal armies here. Must have passed through on their way to the front a few days ago. I think we can confirm at this point that the route Trilby Asher provided is safe. Is there anyone in town? The streets are empty, but I can sense the flicker of shadows and the smell of food. We decided against contact to avoid unneeded misunderstandings. Understood. We'll rendezvous with you as soon as we can. It's getting dark. Seems like everything's going smoothly. Best we let our fighters get some rest and some hot soup in them. Remember to save some for my team. They'll be taking a while longer to get back after their work is done. Rockrock and I still have to head over to Feist. I'm not sure if we'll be able to double our communications range by nightfall, but we'll do our best to finish ASAP. No need to worry. We'll save the best for your people. It's all just the same canned provisions though, right? Would you like some engine oil for dressing then? Oi! All units continue onwards until you reach Gibsonham. I hope things can be as peaceful tonight as things are now. All the houses seem to be empty. Have the residents gone into hiding? Gibsonham's not far from the Duke's defense line, so I doubt the Sarkas ever fully captured it. Not to mention that the ducal armies just passed through a few days ago. Horn's caution is warranted though. There might be some scattered ducal troops who want to reconvene with the main army and decided to camp out here first. Although Trilby Asher's helping us out with this advice, Victoria's never exactly been a model for unity. Not to mention the complicated nature of the exemplars. I dare say there are a few old-fashioned military nobles who would rather not tolerate our very existence. I see. Then let's show them the full scale of our forces. It'll deter those with ulterior motives and alert anyone who needs the help of our arrival. The rumbling of traveling tanks reverberates through the quiet night, the low roar of the engines forceful yet steady. The soldiers cautiously advance, observing their surroundings, but still, all they see are pitch-black windows and doorways. It doesn't look like they want to make first contact. That's fine, as long as it means we can get along. Wait, I hear something. From the building to the front and left. That's the sound of artillery shell casings falling on the ground. An ambush? On your guard, everyone. I'll lead a team to scout ahead. First squad, second squad, follow my lead. There are no signs of life in the abandoned factory. Contrary to expectations, there is no sound of an explosion following the fallen casings. Are you sure that was fallen casings, Horn? Absolutely sure. That's a special model only allocated to elite Victorian troops. No traces of anyone living here. Don't move, Siege. Siege carefully puts her foot down, back to where it was. Horn points at a thin tripwire barely visible against the ground. Nicely concealed, with the surrounding piping obstructing the view. Real tricky to spot. A booby trap? No, it's not linked to any explosives, just a simple alarm system. Based on how they've installed it, I'd say they're military. Should we try to initiate contact? Yes, everyone, get behind us and prepare to engage. Hello, we don't mean any harm. Our unit's called the... A secret passage. Get ready to enter. Stay behind my shield. Halt! We're not... Help! I knocked over some spent ammunition while on watch. How could they have heard from so far away? They avoided your alarm too. These troops, I don't think they're any ordinary, She can block your pile driver spear? Captain? And Siege too? It really is you, Fiona. The lady with long red hair suddenly throws herself into the arms of her captain. So you're alive all along. Wonderful. Oh, wonderful. Orn gently releases Bagpipe from her embrace, then claps a hand on her shoulder. Good to see you in one piece, and in rather good shape too. I'll make my report now, Captain. I've done it. I've managed to extract the intelligence on the Spectre Force. They're planning now. I survived. I got my memories, I got the truth, and I stay alive. Your orders? I've never forgotten a word of them. Good to hear. I knew you could do it. I always knew. Welcome back, Bagpipe. Wait, she's, You're not a... Everyone, we mean you no harm. It's alright to come out. One by one, silhouettes emerge from the shadows. The elderly, children, the sick, and the wounded civilians. Hundreds of pairs of eyes stare at Siege and her men in fear and curiosity, taking their measure. You're not with the ducal armies? Most of you aren't dressed like Victorian soldiers. In fact, you mostly look like workers to me. That's right. We're not under any of the dukes. We're called the Exemplars. Shearer's counting up the civilians who were hiding in the factory and giving them a checkup. All I can say at the moment is that it's looking better than we expected. Aside from those infected soldiers under the Duke of Fife who came along with you, and a small team of military engineers under the Duke of Normandy, everyone else is just local civilians who couldn't escape. The Ducal Alliance armies came through here a few days ago, but I'd rather give up a chance at being rescued than seek help from the Grand Dukes. It's understandable why the soldiers would avoid them. They're either worried about the status of their infection or worried about a court-martial. But as for the civilians, perhaps this was the year the people living around Londinium got to reassess their country and those decorated higher-ups. Bagpipe, how did you manage to get their trust, Are you listening, Bagpipe? Aye, Captain! You need to pay attention during tactical meetings. The map's on the wall, not my face. Sorry, Captain. Horn lets out a small sigh. I really shouldn't be asking. You are Fiona, after all. I'm just a wee bit glad. The Exemplars, the Tempest Platoon's predecessors. I guess the rumors were true. I'm actually amazed that you still remember what you learned in military history class. Well, of course. When I was still at training camp, Triangle made sure I committed this fact to memory. Out by the training field, the sycamores were full of leaves, blocking the sun just right. Then there were the rocks at the top of the cliff, hard as... well, rocks. Handles sting if you try to climb them. I remember when Cello and Oboe had a wager on who could complete the rock climbing training course the fastest. The loser had to do 100 one-handed push-ups. Oboe was a right fool. Who would have taken that bet with Cello? Maybe you should have reminded him back then. You were even sitting on his back the whole time he was doing those push-ups. I was just helping him with his training, and I'd say it turned out alright in the end, He was just a hair behind Cello the next time. The Exemplars. When the Tempest Platoon was first established, nothing was left of this legendary unit from the War of the Four Nations, not even its unassigned unit ID. But now it has returned once more to the battlefield. We're all members of the Exemplars now, Bagpipe. As long as our team is still here, we will never stop fighting the good fight. Isn't there a strategy meeting inside? Why are you standing up here in the cold? Just wanted to clear my head for a few minutes. Did you think I was someone else? Baird or, No, not really.
I believe you. If someone suddenly popped out of the fog tonight, I wouldn't have any expectations either. Not everyone is as lucky as Horn, reuniting with the person they most want to see. Luck, eh? That's a luxury around here. That's enough blues for tonight. We should head inside. Wait. Victorian soldiers? Are they the remnants who stayed behind? No, they can't be. I never noticed them until they got this close. They're the elite of the elites. Caster's men?
Ah, it's positively frigid out here. My hands are frozen stiff. The days truly are getting colder as they go by. Why, I've only taken a little jaunt and my full plate's already half soaked through. My young friends, won't you invite me inside to warm my hands for a spell?
Since you've come all this way in person, I suppose we should show you some courtesy. Delphine... yes, Lena? Let's show the Duke the way.
Alrighty then. They finally meet! Isn't that lovely? That will be in the clip section. I had a moment where I saw them clash. Like, you see clearly, as you guys see, you see clearly Horn clash with Bagpipe, but Bagpipe is just a shadow, and it happens for like a second. And honestly, it took me like two extra seconds afterwards to register, oh my god, they're meeting. Oh, it's finally happening. Yeah. I'll leave that in the clip section. You guys will see that little reaction of realization. Oh, it's happening. But yeah, anyway, lovely. Even in this tragedy, there is a tiny bit of sparks of hope, right, and happiness. But yeah, oh boy, Gododin. He is I don't know. I don't want to say too much right now, but Gododin is kind of one of those very hard to place characters right now. You'll see what I mean in you'll see what I mean soon. But anyway, we proceed to 14-4. Breaking the silence. Hold on. Hope guides us forward. Let's begin.
Excuse me. Who are ye, sir?
Ooh, much better. Once you reach a certain age, you come to prefer bright and warm places. And, is that beans I smell?
I was cooking some canned beans for dinner. Do you want some, sir?
Don't mind if I do. Would be better if we had some seasoning from home, perhaps some marinated meat.
I was thinking the same. We got audience.
What is it?
I ken who you are now, and you're a wee bit different from what's in the news.
Ah, well, you can ask your captain. I held her when she was wee. Little Rita touched my horn and asked why her dad didn't have one.
I apologize for my insolence at the time, Your Grace.
Not many have the nerve to touch my horns, Lieutenants Commandros. You showed courage from a very young age. Or should I say, all of you are brave warriors of Victoria. Your defense of Catalay was outstanding, as was your performance at Brentwood. The exemplars you call yourselves. I've long wanted to meet you, though it seems your leader does not welcome my presence.
Pardon my frankness, Your Grace, but it is hard to treat your sudden appearance as a pure gesture of good faith.
Of course, Lady Vinemere, I understand. Especially in times like this. I sent men to the Ironclad Glaive. They were traveling quickly, but fortunately I made it in time to present funeral flowers for Amphiles.
I appreciate the gesture. I assume the Duke of Gododin hasn't come all the way here just to give us a medal.
What if I say I have?
Most of us are neither nobles nor intelligentsia. It would be best if you didn't beat around the bush.
Your Royal Highness Alexandrina is as direct as they say. Or would you prefer that I call you Siege, like your friends do? I fully understand why the Exemplars avoided the ducal armies along the way. You didn't want them to get involved in the machinations of the dukes. You want to fight only for Victoria and her people, like the legendary unit that you're named after. And so I'm not here as the Duke of Gododin. I'm here as Sean Gododin, Member of Parliament, to extend an invitation to the Parliament-authorized Tempest Platoon and the rest of the Exemplars. Leave the outdated identification code behind. I'm asking that you interfere in this war in the name of Parliament. The miners' camp has burned to the ground. No sign of Sarka's soldiers. Misery feels a slight chill. The campsite's charred debris has cooled. He moves some collapsed wooden beams aside and finds a few unrecognizable bodies. Miners, remains of the infected. It's all the same everywhere. What's that sound? Nice hiding spot, Sudaram. Nocter spotted to the northwest of Gibsonham. Out of comms range already. That was you. Several rune swords pierce out of the ground beneath Misery's feet, but he is no longer there. Misery rips through the fabric of space with his dagger and retreats out of range. The collapsed ruins turn into a cage trapping the Nocter's withered bodies. Shush now. I have you too.
Duke Gododin, I understand that the Victorian Parliament has not held a session for a long time. Everyone who escaped Londinium knows that the Sarkas have been the ones giving the orders from the Palace of Vestalag during this time.
Of course, I don't deny the present circumstances. Why don't we cast our gaze further, though, to the future beyond the war?
The future? Isn't it a little too early to be bargaining over that, if bargaining and coercion were synonyms?
You misunderstand me. Godolin is not caster. I would much prefer to sit by the fireside than gather at the negotiation table. I'm more about drinking and playing cards with friends. It gets cold rather quickly once summer is gone. Mind if I have my man add some wood to the fire?
You might as well have them come in.
Thank you. That's much better. Where were we? Oh, yes, the future. We know that the war will end, and Victoria will triumph. The war will inevitably bring, or should I say, has already brought about irreversible changes, ending a 20-year stalemate.
If anyone in the room is interested in the empty throne, it certainly isn't me.
Excellent, excellent. See, we already have a consensus. As a matter of fact, I held a little meeting not too long ago and saw the Iron Duke in person. Seeing him always reminds me of when I first saw the Gastrel. Like so many other children who grew up hearing tales of the Empire's death knell, I searched for the shadow of the ruins that belonged to Lingnes, only to find not Gaul, but the glory of the strongest nation of our time, so splendid that I could not bear to turn away. You want us to believe you care more about Victoria than Gododin? Make no mistake, I would never call myself a patriot. A duke must always put his dukedom before all else. This is not just a matter of interest, but also a duty, a responsibility. But I wonder, what is the difference between Gododin and Wellington? Wellington would still be Wellington, with or without Victoria, but what would become of Gododin if the light of Victoria went out? Perhaps it would survive, but things would certainly not get better.
You don't want the Grand Dukes to really divide Victoria.
I'm not the only one. You know that. As strong as Victoria is, she is not without her rivals. Ursus, Lithanian, Columbia, Sargon, all the ambitious nations of Terra have their eyes on us. We need a single, unified voice to bring stability. This is why Parliament exists. All the ducal realms will select an appropriate representative, including Windermere. This is what the Exemplars mean to Victoria. No soldier who fights for the cause of Victoria will need to fear betrayal again. The Speaker of Parliament has always been the king, for the entirety of the royal's existence, but that does not mean that he, or she, must sit on the throne. And this is what you can mean to all of us, Your Royal Highness Alexandrina, if you are willing. No one speaks as the Duke's words sink in. Only the crackling of the fire Gododin lit can be heard.
I have only one question for your grace. If all of this could have waited until after the war, then if I refuse now, can my friends and I leave with these size of kings?
Siege.
Crossbowman outside! We're surrounded. Maybe we already were the moment he showed up. Well. First we'll learn what a commitment is to Castor. Now we'll learn what friendship is to Gododin.
Friends treat each other as equals, do they not? My offer remains fair. At the minimum, I gave this young friend from Gododin the opportunity to point her pile driver spear at me.
Lost the signal from Drone 6 again. Blasted place. Alright, Ballin, Ivris, Victor, we have to do this manually. Status reports, everyone. All good here. The beacon's in there and there's the sensors running. We're still getting strong interference from the wind and sand. I'm trying to filter out the noise. Waiting on you now, Victor.
5 minutes. The ground's softer than expected.
Careful, quicksand! The soil's very different from the samples we collected. I've sent the data back. You got that, Captain? I knew it was a good idea to get you on board, Ivris. Worth a few days of angry stares from Earth Spirit.
I think you can do with a better working environment, Closure. Try not to get too much sand in your mouth.
Stop talking like Amiya, Ballin. My blood is self-cleansing. Hey, don't just laugh at me, keep working. The sooner we get the signal tower set up, the sooner we can broadcast the safe zone locations, and the sooner you can go to town.
I'm trying. Rhode Island equipment isn't like anything else I've seen. I'm already doing an exemplary job, get it?
Seriously though, you and Rock shouldn't be here with me in the first place. You have my drones, of course I'm staying here with them.
Well, that is a solid reason.
I know you're concerned about my safety, but I'm actually really strong. What's that? Those vampire worms would disagree? Well, not all vampires are built the same, you know. It's you two I'm worried about. Put your helmets on. Oripathy infection is no joke.
Alright. But you lot are the ones who need to be careful, running around the battlefield like this.
You lot?
Rhode Island. You lot are all over the battlefield, not caring for your own safety at all. Bolin isn't infected from Victoria. Ivris is infected but not Victorian. Victor isn't infected or Victorian. How amazing.
Why? Everyone knows Rhode Island operators come from everywhere.
I can't help but think of my granny, Clovicia, plus Tommy and the gang. I once hoped that the Self-Salvation Corps could be as united as the Rhode Island operators I'd seen.
Well, people aren't really born good or bad. As circumstances change, so do people. Maybe one day.
One day, the Self-Salvation Corps will become a tightly knit, united group. Just like the Exemplars, now all fighting for the same thing. Ready to brave the worst, ready to deal with defeat, even betrayal. But it's not necessarily a race, upbringing, or circumstances that will unite us. Just like Rhode Island.
Alright, enough with the compliments. I know you want to keep our equipment. Should I get you a contract now?
I'm not jealous of Rhode Island, Miss Closure. You'll not give me the same kind of feeling as this strange communication equipment you're holding. A possibility. Something that proves I'm not just a naive dreamer.
Wait. Maybe your monologue is starting to bother Closure, Feist. What's that sound? Let me check the feed from Rock 18.
In the monitor's pixelated image, a sandstorm approaches quickly.
Catastrophe? But I don't see the data.
Beneath the wild sands are tattered banners and the chanting of war.
Narrated. What are they doing here? Go! You two, leave now. Everyone from the Self-Salvation Corps, head for Gibsonham. Now!
What's that sound? Sarkas! They're already here! Battle stations, open fire!
Explosions. Sir, the Sarkas are attacking the town. We have to leave now.
They found us quicker than expected. Looks like the Sarkas remembered the success they had with Anfelice. What of the attackers?
Narrated lead, sir.
Your Royal Highness, you and your people must leave with us now. This town is not worth defending, but you and your friends are of paramount importance to the future of Victoria. Our battleships can take us back to the Silver Rock Bluffs front in 3 hours. That is where we belong.
Me or the sword? Sir, we don't have time. You don't have time and you don't plan to fight, even though you know how many civilians there are. But of course you wouldn't. They're not important to you or the Parliament. These poor families wouldn't produce a single member of Parliament in 100 years. There's no place for them in your game of cards.
I simply have my sights on reality, Your Highness.
Reality? Reality is that the future of Victoria you dream of is to be found in a grand hall filled with noble coats of arms. My Victoria is here with these people.
Sir! Very well, Your Royal Highness. You're like your father at times. Naive, reckless.
Is that so? Not that I care. I don't remember anything about him.
Very well. Good luck.
Horn, order all combat-ready personnel on the plate to their stations now. On it. Delphine, have Lieutenant Shearer get the logistics and medical staff ready. Already done. Follow the plan, protect the civilians, prepare for battle.
I think something's wrong with the diffractometer sensor.
Nothing's wrong with it. You see, Victor, I'm getting the same results. It's not always the equipment's fault that you are not getting valid data. The data itself may exceed the scope. Originium reaction metrics are above the default limit.
They're coming, guys. We have 3 minutes.
Victor is the youngest of us. If nothing else, we should try to get him out.
Who did you think was the reason that I signed up for the Londinium operation?
Never could just do as you're told, could you?
How are you doing over there, Closure?
Still alive. I've got my drones, and they're loaded with them.
I think I hear the sound of drones crashing. They used to be our babies.
You knew it when you ordered the Self-Salvation Corps to pull out, didn't you? That was the last chance to escape. The Originium activity data is incomplete. I need data from all of you.
Amiya's not here, so you're my captain, Closure. We all talked to Amiya before we came to Londinium. Stop a war and save both the Victorians and the Sarkas. Just a few of us. That's next to impossible. But I chose to trust all of you. Trusts in the dream of Rhode Island. There isn't a single Rhode Island operator who doesn't want to see the day when there is a cure for ripathy, when everybody's living a better life. Doesn't that sound ridiculous to most folks? My only regret about dying here is that I won't get to see that day. Did you get my data, Ivris?
Yep, just sent the newest batch of data over, Captain. Oh, and I'm not that selfless, so don't forget to put my name in when you publish your paper. Will do. Communication failure detected. Signal lost imminent. Importing energy fluctuation data. Initializing automatic analysis module. Catastrophe scale confirmed. Developing prediction model on originium-induced environmental changes for the next 24 hours.
Captain, shield damaged.
They're about to...
Hang in there, Ivris. Moving towards your position. Make it happen, Closure.
I will.
The engineer's eyes are glued to the screen in front of her. Faster, faster. If they fail to compile the originium activity data, then all these squads' efforts would be for naught. The din of war approaches. Only a few drones remain. She can feel the enemy's cold, freezing breath.
Model successfully compiled. Outputting safe zone locations. Yes! All that's left is the signal tower.
Vampire. Traitor. This war will go on, and you will feed it.
Tex! My drone!
The Sudaram's blade slices the hovering drone, sending it crashing to the ground. That was her last combat drone.
Get out of the way!
Your hearts are weak and pathetic. How could such a frail vampire exist?
Ah!
Searing pain erupts, and Closure feels an entire side of her body go numb. The breath of decay invades her. Closure can barely hold onto the signal tower. With great effort, she plants the complex equipment into the ground to lean on.
Insufficient signal strength. Strong interference detected. Unable to broadcast safe zone location. Please follow the equipment manual. I know, shut up! What kind of vampire are you, Closure? Close those wounds. Hang in there just a little longer. Just get this thing up, right? Sleeping in the corridors again? You'll catch a cold. Rhode Island's basic functions are online. I think she's ready for a grand voyage. Thank you, Chief Engineer. You've delivered your promise. If you want to leave this ship and go back to Casdell... right, you told me before, you're not interested in that place. But at least promise me you won't call yourself a talentless vampire anymore. You're the most talented person I've ever known, Closure. You're just different from other vampires. So here's my offer. As long as you still want to see the vast and unexplored parts of this land, we'll always be each other's companion. I can't. I won't. Won't let everyone down. And myself.
Closure can feel the Sudaram's cold grip close in around her neck. War has finally claimed her.
Closure! Who? A survivor? Signal. There's a signal. A Rhode Island signal. Grab my hand, Closure. Doberman? It's me. Can you stand? Bang!
You. A dagger pierces the Sudaram's chest, causing a massive burst of energy. Sorry I'm late.
Misery gave us the location. More are coming. Almost got it. Cover me. Keep them away.
What is our mission? When Closure first joined Rhodes Island, then known as Babel, she asked many operators this question. She got a different answer every time. Some dreams are big, others less so. Some gave details, others mumbled, scratched their heads, and gave an abashed smile. But there comes a time when they all have the same expression. And a time when they all make the same choice.
Almost there. This is the last one. Core module online. Communications restored. We're coming, Closure. Hang in there. We sent your occasion to the Exemplars. Help is on the way. Finally. Closure? Closure! Are you okay? Keep your distance. Cover the artilleries and crossbowmen. The appearance of the Narrated is closely linked to catastrophes. Do not fear their witchcraft. However bizarre it is, it's still arts. Remember how we marched through a catastrophe. We survived the catastrophe. We'll survive the Sarkas. Bagpipe. Aye, I'm here. The Duke of Gododin spoke the truth. Tempest Platoon is under the direct authority of Parliament. We have an obligation to answer Parliament's call. It's a more legitimate cause for action than the Duke's invitation. Not to mention that by accepting his invitation, you, Robin, and everyone who came with us because they had no choice will have proper identities. Identity? Did you forget, Captain? I'm retired anyways. Besides, in that standoff with the Duke earlier, you didn't hesitate to put your shield in front of Siege. True. Where is Siege carrying the size of kings? Have you seen it before, Captain? I have. Siege was right. It's just a piece of metal that happens to mean something to some people. Troops approaching on our flank. No ID code, but I recognize them. They're the Duke of Gododin's men. They've engaged the Sarkas and covered one of our squads just now. Good. If that's Gododin's way of showing friendship, then we'll show him the same in return. Attention, Exemplars. Stand with the soldiers of Gododin. No one step backward until the last foe is vanquished. The ship has reached cruising speed, sir. We're out of danger for now.
Good. The Sarkas' witchcraft is most peculiar indeed. Better to fake a moment of vulnerability than to have them constantly harassing our rear.
The leader of the Narrated has not been sighted, nor any other known powerful Sarkas.
I suppose they don't see Gododin as nearly the threat that Windermere or Wellington are. I could call that a relief.
The size of kings has not left Gibsonham, sir. Should we move on to the next phase?
What do you think of them?
More of a challenge than expected. Alexandrina's forces are growing, and they are more organized and effective than we thought.
Oh, I don't mean as an adversary. The Exemplars, like you said, they look the part. And they've worked well enough with the troops that we left behind. Rita is with them, and looks more like the legendary White Wolf than her father did. And Windermere isn't quite as weak as the Intel had her. Maybe it's not such a joke after all, but those kids could become the Exemplars.
Do you intend to abandon the plan for us to escort the Realm Blade, then?
Abandon? Such a strong word. It is the future that Gododin values. Alexandrina, the size of kings, the Exemplars, even Rhodes Island. Perhaps we'll cross paths again on our way to the future.
Our tanks are fighting the last pocket of Sarkas on the east side of town. We've successfully defended Gibsonham. It will serve as a supply point on the way to Silver Rock Bluffs. However, the terrain has changed. The environment around Londinium is constantly changing because of Amnanam's influence. Fissures, cliffs, and rapids that should not have been there are emerging everywhere. Silver Rock Bluffs is almost constantly under severe catastrophe. It's hard to say where our foot will land when we put it forward. I wouldn't have believed this was our Londinium if I had anything less than absolute faith in Rhodes Island's data. The sun on the meadow is summery warm, filling our home with euphoria. After this war, we might have to change our national anthem's lyrics.
Is this time to be having a laugh?
You wanted to say we'll think about it after we take it back, didn't you? But even if we really went back, would our home ever return to the way it was? That's why we're not just going to win the war. We're not going to let the Sarkas destroy Londinium in the war. We'll overcome the storm ahead. And we won't abandon the home that the storm has ravaged. Feist told me his squad picked up more distress signals nearby. There may be more lives saved yet. The areas where fighting occurred with the Nachtseers will need to be cleaned up. Rhode Island operators will provide the usual assistance. I want the Exemplars to work with them on these post-combat affairs. Establish supply lines, rescue and transfer the injured, and rally those who want to join us. The troops who returned from the front line have assembled. Counting in the Gododin soldiers who had their IDs wiped, the Exemplars have far exceeded the scale of a regiment. They want to join us? I met with their officers. They said the Duke of Gododin left before they could board the transports. Preliminary screening indicates that all of them are infected. Sounds familiar, eh? The Duke of Gododin left his infected soldiers behind, just like the other dukes? Or maybe he intentionally picked a bunch of soldiers who had unfortunately gotten infected and sent them over to us. I suspect he has ulterior motives. The performance of those infected troops indicates that they are different from those we've seen before. I wouldn't call them stragglers. If Gododin's intentions is to keep an eye on us, then we should probably try to lose these people, or at least separate them tactically. No. You know the Dukes better than I, Delphine. There's a very good chance that you're right. But right now, there's nothing we need more than unity. If even the Exemplars choose which part of Victoria they united, what would happen to the future that we dream of? Gododin very likely knew that we wouldn't reject those men. That's why he let us leave so easily. Then we need to be ready. This is not the first challenge we've had to overcome, nor will it be the last. Sarkas, Amnanam, Castor, the Dukes. It's not just one storm that the Exemplars will have to weather. I'll let the Lieutenant Shearer know. To be honest, everyone's happy to get some new blood. Plus, they're all infected. If it's really true that Gododin has not abandoned them, that, in itself, is worth celebrating. Perhaps the unity that once seemed impossible is actually within reach. It's a miracle to run into people like you. We're not the miracle, ma'am. You are, all of you, for being strong until the very end. Thank you so much, regardless. I can still move. Let me help you with the others. This way, you can get some rest. You're not much older than my old child, now that I get a better look at you. We have about 10 minutes of rest before we head to the next location. Closure? A little more time. There's not much room for improvement on that arts unit you're holding. Even Radian and Mechanist could hardly do better. Conditions will only get worse from here. The better I do, the safer you guys will be. Thanks. Rescue work around Gibsonham is complete. Next, we'll be going to, where your squad's signal was lost. I see. We'll find them, alive or otherwise. Even if they're buried in the sand or originium, there will be traces. We'll find them and bring them home. I know how I feel about Fang. I want to hear your thoughts too. Is it regrettable for a Rhode Island operator to die in a war between the Sarkas and the Victorians when I have nothing to do with either side of the war? Any sacrifice is regrettable. After Ace died, Beagle cried for many nights with a shield in her arms. Why him? Why there? Why then? I get that feeling too, every single time. But what I really want to know is, how did the people who sacrificed feel? I'm sure they have their own regrets. We're none of us saints. That's why we feel death. That's why you feel pain over your decision. But I have no regrets about participating in this operation. If not for Lava, Hibiscus, or our other Sarkas friends, then at least for the people here, even though I don't know any of them. It was a catastrophe that brought me from Colombia to Rhode Island. That catastrophe taught me one thing, that suffering does not discriminate. I came here today because I know that you will come when my home needs help, when the people I care about need help. You're right. We'll be there. Rhode Island. You know something? I've been addicted to the web since a very young age, because that's the only place I knew without segregation. The other vampire children and I, vampires and other Sarkas, Sarkas and everyone else, catastrophe, nations, class, disease. It was Theresa who took me from the confines of my home and showed me another possibility. A ship that sails the waves of disaster, rescues those who are suffering, and fosters companionship beyond personal interest. Sounds surreal, huh? But the road that Rhode Island has traveled thus far is very real. I'll continue to analyze the anomalies caused by Amnanam. I also want to hear your answer to my question, Kaltzitz and the doctors too. This data belongs to Ivris, to Bolin, to Victor, to Rhode Island. One day, it may belong to everyone.
Not gonna lie, they had me a tiny bit there. I was a tiny bit concerned that something will happen to Closure there for a moment. But then again, it's Closure. That's not gonna happen. Closure, I feel like Closure is in the same spot like pretty much every operator, like recruitable operator in this game is. If they're recruitable, probably not gonna happen anything to them outside of them getting an altar. And I feel like she's in the same boat. But anyway, they had me a tiny bit concerned there, not gonna lie. But, cool. Fang finally appeared in the story. Also, Misery is absolutely overpowered. That guy was soloing multiple Sudorams, and what the hell, buddy? That guy is just broken as hell. I swear, if they ever add him into one of the IS modes, like they added some of the elite members just to play around with, if they add him in there and he's not gonna be absolutely stupidly broken ass overpowered when he deploys in there, I'm gonna be massively disappointed, because the way he's being presented in the story anywhere, he just breaks reality apart. And that's nuts. But anyway, before we continue, we have enemies. And we have this guy, the Sarka's Altar Nourisher. Veteran engineer casters of the Nachter Legion, whose depths nourish the altars they carry, like leaves upon the barren soil. Their depths bring forth the promise of suffering. Oh, do they bring suffering? Oh, are they annoying to fight? Oh, I know what they said on the training stage, that the altar thing is gonna be quite fun to pilot enemies around, but I take that back. These idiots do not have to have this power. But anyway, on the normal stages, we have the Sarka's Altar Keeper. Engineer casters of the Naxxramas Legion. They set their altars on the battlefield like nails upon a carpet, woven from war. Wherever they go, the storm of suffering will soon follow. Oh, it follows them. Oh, it follows them, alright. They pick that shit up and they carry it, and it's not nice to see. But yeah, anyway, let's proceed on to our final stage for today, which is 14-5. Cave Search. A strange place. A strange figure. Let's check it out. Abandoned mansion, Londinium outskirts. Is she back? Not yet. Damn, it was hard enough dodging those devils. How did she survive and even find us? How the heck did she know that I did business with the devils? Well, consider that business deal lost. How about you? How'd you get you? She held a crossbow to my head. I knew her from before. She didn't used to be so, Didn't used to be so what? Go on. No, I didn't. The soldier, who has served the Duke all his life, lies on the ground, a crossbow pointed at his forehead. The voice of the one holding the crossbow is cold as ice. I'm waiting. Sorry, Milskar. I shouldn't have... Ow! The bolt pierces his ear. Some people punch holes in their pets' ears as a sign of ownership. A man is not a pet, of course, but sometimes they're not so different, are they? Now get back up and give me a status report. Have you done what I've asked of you? Yes, ma'am! Well, the reception at the monitoring station was really bad, so even though we tried to gather as much information as possible... Skip to the conclusion. Based on what little information that Trilby Asher left behind, and the occasional interceptor comms, we can confirm that a unit called the Exemplars has been formed, and its leader is most likely the one you spoke of, Vina. They seem to be headed for the front at Silver Rock Bluffs. Silver Rock Bluffs. They're really staying in this war. Keep at it. Notify me of any new developments. Yes, ma'am! Well, this is easier than expected. I thought it would be tougher. No scruples, no axe to put up. I found Victoria. A red light flashes a few times in the deep shadows. Isn't it your job to protect her? "43 hours into the operation. I knew you would come. Ursula. That mad bomber W came once to set up this prison. Ines came twice to show compassion. Same old Ines. Always a tad slow with her retort when she's focused on someone else's shadow. Now it's you. What have you come to say? Have you thought it over? That's my line. Your situation is perilous. Your only vehicle lies disabled. As the pilot, I'm very likely to know something that you don't, and probably am waiting for the right time to strike. Really, you should kill me, Hoarder. I would rather you helped us with what you know. In your dreams. I already turned you down once. You give me too little credit if you think I would change my mind just because I'm a prisoner. 3 times. What?
You saved our lives 3 times back in Kazdal. My life once, Ines' life twice.
You wrote all that in your diary?
Name your price. I'll do my best to pay it.
You'll go bankrupt if you quit the mercenary life to open up a business.
I just want as many Sarkas to make it back to Kazdal alive as possible.
Such grand ambitions. But enough chit-chat. Let the old rules of Scar Market lie buried beneath Kazdal. Our debt is settled. One last warning, Hoarder. Kill me now, or you'll regret it.
Did it ever occur to you that we both want the same thing?
Enough of your righteous crap. Don't try to buy my life with your flowery words, old friend. They're not much better than money. A mercenary takes no sides, but you and I aren't really mercenaries anymore. Wanna bet, Ines? Hodder is gonna try talking Ulsha into helping for old time's sake at Scar Market. Ulsha's gonna tell him to just get it over with, and Hodder's gonna come back with a long face. What's the wager? That's it. I figured you'd be jealous with the two of them all alone in a room together. W. Stop trying to read my shadow, Ines. I'm not in a mood. The Bonnie and the Victorian have been gone for a while. Wonder how things are going out there. Bonesy is still playing dead, and Theresa says catastrophe refuses to go away. Who knows, maybe Manfred's gonna just pop out of nowhere. I could have blown Theresa's right up then and there. I know you're restless because of Theresa, but hold that fuse for a moment. We have a lot of prep work to do. Fuck off! Who said I was?
We've got a problem, W.
Out with it.
It's time for a shift change, but not all of our scouts came back. Crane's team went off to the north side of the canyon, and we can't reach them.
Don't tell me they ran into a decent enemy caster. When was your last communication?
Almost 3 hours ago.
If our enemy could make an entire merc squad disappear without a sound, they would have been on top of us by now. The most important thing to do at the moment is keep the lifeboat safe. We're just gonna sit here when we know something's going on outside. I agree with Ines. We know nothing about this place. The safest course of action is to concentrate our forces. Cut the crap! My men are missing. I want to know why. If they got lost, I'll bring them back. If somebody did them in, I'll return the favor. Calm down. This could be a trap to split us up. I don't like playing defense. Even if it's a trap, I'll just blast them out of hiding. Give me half a day. If I don't come back, that means I'm up against a really nasty piece of work. Don't come after me. Get your defenses ready. If you get a call from Amiya, don't wait for me. Just activate the lifeboat. I'll take my own squad. No need to bother anyone else. You lot, grab your weapons and follow me. Is this where they went?
It should be. This cave was all we saw when we went north into the canyon. We don't know what's inside. Hidden passage? The court's secret cache?
If this was the secret base of the royal court, we'd have had a couple of 100 vampires and Nightstares on our asses the moment we fell in here. Based on Closure's intel, we're in the hills to the west of Londinium, a good distance from the main battlefield, where those old farts are. Somehow, though, I smell the old moldy stench from someone who's been here for ages. I don't like old stuff, but I'm sure Hoarder would love it. Let me guess, what enemy did our lucky winners run into?
W, when did you use your bombs?
You're delusional. Did you see me use them on our way here?
And what are those burn marks on the wall?
Huh? Strange. No sign of arts. But how do you leave marks like these on stone then?
Did you hear that?
What is it this time?
It's the sound of someone striking iron. There's somebody here!
You're just hearing things. Stop spooking yourself. Nobody's here.
Do we keep going, W? I have a bad feeling about this.
Of course. Why do you think we're here? That's top grade gear you all are using. I'm not rich enough to just let them rot in some cave.
Have you heard the Sarkas legend? Before Quilon was even born, the Sarkas and a red dragon...
Shut up. One historian in Hoarder is enough. Say any more and I'll throw you to the front.
What is it?
Blood, but not Sarkas. It's fresh. Get ready to fight!
The terrifying monster lets out a strange howl. Our weapons all work. This thing just won't die.
Aim for its head. We'll see how many hits it can take.
It's too fast. We can't hit it. Draw its attention. I'll try to hit it from behind. The mercenary attempts to go around the monster, but one swing of its tail sends him slamming into a rock wall. None of the attacks seem to have caused any real damage. It flaps its wings and scorching winds engulf the cave, making the air even thinner. The ground quakes and spikes erupt from under the earth, hurling towards everyone.
Shut up! I said shut up, you short-legged mouth!
The monster lets out a song-like cry. The monster immediately locks onto where the damage came from, surprisingly agile for its size. In the brief time it takes W to reload, the monster has already closed the distance, its fangs nearly grazing her face.
I don't know how you got that ugly mug, but you'll need a bigger one to eat me. Chew on this instead, sucker!
Is it dead?
Hard to live with a big hole in its face, huh?
Are you okay?
I've always been good at blast control.
I've got a theory, W. There might just be a lost Sarkas court called Bomb Fiend or something, and you're its last princess.
Very funny.
But what the hell is this? Doesn't look like any animal I've ever seen. I heard that some of those Colombian crazies sew parts of different animals together. Maybe this is their doing?
Unfortunately, I know a bunch of Sarkas crazies who do the same thing. It reeks of witchcraft. Confessorious monsters? Why are you here in the middle of nowhere? Them being here is no coincidence. There must be something else in the cave.
Did this thing eat our guys?
The only way to find out is to cut it open. We're sure it's dead, right? Damn! This thing had friends?
They've blocked the entrance. What do we do?
Run!
"48 hours into the operation.
What time is it?
Would it mean anything to you?
Call it a professional habit. I feel better when I know what time it is.
6 p.m. 2 days since we crashed into the canyon.
2 days. Enough to do a lot of things. Do you remember, Hoarder? The three of us were on a mission to steal our Sargonian Pasha's treasure. We got the treasure, but also 100 or so people on our tails. We hid in a cave for 2 whole days. We were starving, but were too afraid to light a fire or leave.
It was Ines who stitched your wounds up. You wouldn't have made it otherwise.
Huh. I said the sun's almost up. Just let me bathe in the sun for a little bit, and I'll feel much better.
I must have stopped you. There were enemies outside. We couldn't risk exposing ourselves.
No, you didn't stop me. Ines teased me. She found it hilarious that a Scar Market merc would miss the sun.
Sure, the Scar Market is under Cosdal and never sees the sun.
I became the pilot of this skeleton when I joined the military commission's staff as a major. When I took the young ones back and forth between Cosdal and Londinium, it was like we had outrun the sun. I can't go back. None of the Sarkas can.
Ursula? What's going on?
They're here.
The skeleton is moving? For a moment, the Faramut skeleton seems to be moving, but Hodor soon realizes it was not the nerve clusters or bones that are moving. Nails.
The ship and pilot have always been one.
Life bone is never merely composed of the Faramut skeletons. Rows of long nails are affixed to the massive frame, assembling it into a transport ship. One of them, infused with her arts, pierces through the critical section of the spinal column. She and the skeleton have always been linked by witchcraft.
The arts of the Royal Court casters have connected me to the skeleton. I can sense it. No need to be anxious. It's not going to wake up yet, but this little bit of connection, and what remains of the Faramut's powers on this nail, are enough for me to get out of here. The nail belongs to me. It's linked to my bones. I'm taking it with me. What happens when a Faramut's powers are applied directly to the human body? It's not so bad to cut loose once in a while, just like the old days.
The spine is cracking. No!
I told you, Hodor, that you'll regret not killing me. Or would you say that this is just another inevitable chapter of history?
Hodor thrusts his giant sword into the space of the missing nail, barely in time to hold the critical section in place. But even this fleeting moment is enough for his prisoner to escape her chains. Ursula leaps through a crack in the ribs, disappearing into the fire along with bone and damaged nerve tissue. Ursula!
Ursula, the hero drifting among the shards of history, always trying to save others. Have I ever told you that a name suits you better?
How many of them are there? It's a dead end ahead.
I wasn't planning to escape from the front. I just needed space for my bombs. Get down!
Are they dead?
Let's hope the rocks I brought down were enough to crush their skulls.
What are they doing here? Are they protecting something?
How am I supposed to know? Do you seriously believe I can talk to monsters?
So I guess we really did find something incredible. It's too bad Crane's team got eaten by these things. Not all of us.
You're alive! What the hell happened?
We found a cave on patrol and decided to check it for any potential secret passages. That's when we ran into those monsters. Tyre, Buckle, and Not Good Eaten. The rest of us ran for our lives. For some reason, the monsters wouldn't come this way, but we couldn't get out either, so we were stuck here until you showed up.
Bloody hell. I'll skin those things and have Venus make clothes out of them. What did you find inside?
Not much. I've left markers on the way if you want to see for yourself. Go that way, past a few masked bodies. Then take the right fork.
Masked bodies?
A few skeletons that have been there for years. Must have run away from Londinium a few years ago. The strange thing is, they all cut their own horns off.
Masked bodies. Severed horns.
Their heads were all wrapped up. Maybe some tribal tradition?
Shit. Either you're going crazy or I am.
All enemies? Don't worry, they're very dead.
Take me there. Now.
This is the place. What's the matter, W? I've never seen you like this before.
Shut up.
Several bodies lean against the wall. W bends down and examines them meticulously.
There's nothing left but bones. All death by severe injuries. No question about that. Looks like someone tended to their bodies after death. Maybe they're friends. But it's been years, judging by the dust. There's a small altar in the corner. No sign of witchcraft, so I think it's purely for memorial purposes.
Are these all of them? Why would these assassins be here? Only these? No others?
What do you mean? Were there supposed to be others? Hey, W! What is this? What is it this time? What's going on? Assassins? She said these were assassins? W, wait up! We checked the surrounding area. There's nothing else suspicious.
I recognize their outfits. These traitors, they should all have been dead by now. If they're here, that means... No. No, this can't be. That's ridiculous.
W, I heard that Her Highness Theresa's body was stolen from Babel.
Don't ask me! How am I supposed to know?
The next time Theresa appeared after the attack on Babel was in Londinium. We're close to Londinium.
Shut up! I know that!
What do we do? Should we...
Go back and tell Ines to be on maximum alert. She'll take care of the rest. As for me... I'm going to clean up those loose ends.
Flashback.
This is meaningless, mercenary. I see no reason for us to fight. The war is over. Whether we live or die is inconsequential to this outcome.
You don't get to talk about meaning. Her blood is still on your hands. You and your accomplices. Anyone still alive. I'll find all of you. You can run and you can hide, but I'll find you and tear you apart bone by bone.
I know my sins better than anyone. I would have ended my own life, even if I hadn't run into you today. Go on, do it, if it quells your worthless anger. But you're too late, mercenary. You couldn't save her.
Shut the fuck! I've made many mistakes in my life, but on this one thing, there's no way I could have erred. I killed all the traitors. I remember exactly how each one died, even the expression on their faces as they went. But why did these scum die here? Cotted said the Confessari resurrected her. Why did they need a living, breathing Theresa? Is there more to it than Theresa's plan for the landship of the Sarkas? Theresa's Confessari. I couldn't care less about whether schemes you're plotting, but you desecrated someone you shouldn't have never. Which is why I'll kill you all, if it's the last thing I do. Just what the hell is this place? What's this door doing here? Out of my way! What the heck is this?
A strange sight indeed. The narrow passage opens to a vast, shadowy cavern, untouched by sunlight. The chilling cave is strewn with dusty weapons and armor. The space is dotted with bizarre crystals, massive patterns, reminiscent of eerie symbols, stretch ominously from the walls down to the ground. W is overcome by an unsettling sensation, as though it is not she who gazes upon the vast underground structure, but the other way around. Clank. A blunt sound echoes through the cave. Clank, clank. W recognizes it as the sound of bones being crushed by a heavy object. Who goes there? Alright, so several things. Number one, the beginning scene I'll probably leave mostly intact in the React clip section that is gonna follow very soon. Because it took me... I was debating with myself, is that Allerdale? Is it not Allerdale? But the power armor, the steam armor pretty much confirms that that's her. I mean, it's her face. It's just like the redesign is so ridiculously heavy. It's like, what the hell? Also, it didn't help. Actually, I'm not gonna spoil it. You will hear me why it took me an extra amount of time to realize who it is in the clip section. Enjoy that. It's kind of funny. But anyway, before we wrap up into the next section for you guys, Sudaram. The Sudaram is the shroud of the dead. Once gone from hunger, it is now nourished by the power of the Nachtseher King. For the Nachtseher, consumption and nourishment, greed and devotion are just two sides of the same dreaded coin. Lovely. Cool. But yeah, anyway, so W also found a new friend, it seems. And new enemies, it also seems. Those were interesting. They had very interesting bodies and faces and wings. But yeah, also, there was a shit ton of the assassins in that cave for some reason. I wonder why. Current theory, I don't know why they would be there, but my current theory is that the creatures that they were fighting there, that W was fighting, might have just been like transformed versions of those assassins. Now, why? I don't know, but kind of feels like it. But anyway, that thing at the end, however, I don't know who that is yet. We'll see about that next time, hopefully. But I think we are in the place where Vishadel will appear. Or rather, where she will become Vishadel. But we'll see about that. I don't know what the guy is. He looks on first glance like a very rotten away confessari. And I wonder if it is a confessari, because they are into that whole body morphing, splitting, splicing and shit like that. So that's my working theory, but the guy definitely looks like he is just rotting the hell away. I do love one little detail, that little eye you can see of his through the crack in the face mask. It's very scary. It's very dreadful. But yeah, anyway, exciting. Next time we'll continue on and see where we get. But for now, guys, thank you very much for watching. The clip section will follow with just a couple of short clips. And at the end will be the hidden front thing as well, so you can watch that and me going through it. I will warn one thing, however, the hidden front footage at the beginning, I had the music set to pretty loud, and it's Broken Sun that plays essentially in the background during it. So it's kind of gonna be loud for the first beginning of it, but I'm gonna drossel the volume a bit in a minute or two into the footage when I realize that, oh shit, this is kind of loud right now. Yeah, enjoy the rest of the video, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. It would help me out a lot. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, and if you want to help me out more directly, you can do so by just accepting one of the few memberships on the channel. And as always, no video will be behind a membership. It is pretty much just there to support me and my work more directly. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys very much. Hope you enjoyed, and hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are, and I will see you in the next part. Until then, bye-bye. Help! I knocked over some spent ammunition while on watch. How could they have heard from so far away? They avoided your alarm too. These troops, I don't think they are any ordinary. Oh shit, I just realized who is meeting who. Oh shit, it just hit me. Oh, I just realized who is meeting who just now. Oh no. Oh, this is gonna be a heartfelt moment. She can block your pile driver spear? Or she can. Oh. Oh. Man, this has been a while for you two.
Captain? And Siege too? It really is you, Fiona.
Oh. Oh. This is not gonna have a CG, is it? Oh, come on. The lady with long red hair suddenly throws herself into the arms of her captain. Oh.
So you were alive all along? Wonderful. Wonderful.
Oh, come on. Horn gently releases bagpipe from her embrace, then claps a hand on her shoulder. Stoic military approach. Yep. Abandoned mansion, Londinium outskirts. Is she back? Not yet. Damn, it was hard enough dodging those devils. How did she survive and even find us? How the hell did she know that I did business with the devils? Well, consider the business deal lost. What about you? How'd she get you? She held a crossbow to my head. I knew her from before. She didn't used to be so, Oh god, who is it? Okay, it's either gonna be Clovicia? If he says didn't used to be like that. Either Clovicia or it's gonna be Allerdale. Let's see. I mean, Allerdale didn't used to be like that? I don't know about Allerdale. Let's see. Who the fuck are you? Also, the fucking light from the sun in the back of me is shining on this goddamn model and I cannot see shit. Go on. Who the fuck are you? No, I didn't. The soldier who has served the Duke all his life lies on the ground, a crossbow pointed at his forehead. Damn. The voice of the one holding the crossbow is cold as ice. Okay, well, baseline for the voice, but I still want to kind of fully see you. Is that a burb on your shoulder? Fucking sun behind me. Jesus Christ, I cannot see half the top of the monitor right now. Doesn't help that it's shrouded in the darkness.
I'm waiting.
I just... Miss Milscar? Okay, that's not someone I know, I think. I just... sorry, Milscar. I shouldn't have... Ah! The bolt pierces his ear. Oh, huh? Kinda looks like Allerdale. Huh? Milscar? She looks like Allerdale. Well, the face at least. I don't know. That is a crow. The fuck?
Some people punch holes in their pets' ears as a sign of ownership. A man is not a pet, of course, but sometimes they're not so different, are they? Knock it back up and give me a status report. Have you done what I asked of you?
Well, he was fast. Yes, ma'am! Well, the reception at the monitoring station was really bad, so even though we tried to gather as much information as possible, skip to the conclusion. Based on what little information the Terrible Asher left behind, and the occasional intercepted comms, we can confirm that a unit called the Exemplars has been formed, and its leader is most likely the one you spoke of. Vina. They seem to be headed for the front at Silver Rock Bluffs.
Silver Rock Bluffs. They're really staying in this war. Keep at it. Notify me of new developments.
Yes, ma'am!
Well, this is easier than expected.
Alright, are you Ellerdale? You look very different.
I thought it would be tougher. No scruples, no acts to put up. I found Victoria.
It is. Oh, damn. Just the beaming light up there. I want to play Armored Core 6 again. Anyway. A red light flashes a few times in the deep shadows.
Isn't it your job to protect her?
Okay, it is Ellerdale. Has to be Ellerdale, right? It's literally the same face. What the fuck is happening? Yo! Whoa, 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 what are you? Bathed in fire. Hi. What kind of beast are you? And... oh, combat. Yo, what the fuck am I looking at? Terrifying monster indeed. What the fuck? Fire? Is that like 2 heads or some shit? Wings? Also, what is this music? Oh. Uh-huh, clank clank. W recognizes it as the sound of bones being crushed by a heavy object. Yo, who are you? Oh god, his eye. Whoa, that looks wild. A Confessarius? A very old Confessarius, maybe? This guy looks gnarly as fuck. Oh boy, what are you? Oh god, this music starts. Rhodes Island has dispatched squads of the main battlefield to execute special missions. They will encounter a variety of challenges on the path to their final goal to reach Londinium. Command a squad directly, determine how they'll handle encounters and complete your mission. Select one of 3 different squads to begin. Each squad starts with different initial stats. Each squad excels in its own specialization. Exploit their proficiencies in special challenging events to clear them more easily. Squad will face different encounters on this mission. Each encounter requires different stats to clear. The higher your stats, the higher your success rate. At the same time, completing an encounter successfully will also increase your squad's stats. Plan your squad's growth to help them tackle these encounters more smoothly. After facing a set number of encounters, your squad will face an emergency event. You must successfully handle this event for your squad to progress. If its stats aren't high enough to clear the emergency event, they will evacuate and lose contact with you. Come and witness. In summary, squads must face many encounters and emergencies to reach Londinium's city walls. You will decide how they enter the city, and this determines the ending you achieve. After losing contact with a squad, you may restart with a different team. The new team will inherit some of the last squad's data, and this will make clearing your encounters easier. So try out all the different encounters and gain experience of your teams. Each squad has its own merits against different encounters. Logistic, Intel Squad, and Medical Squad. Uh-huh. Okay. Black Brilliance. Used in dorm to improve the ambience. Voice and visage left to linger through the endless years ahead. Uh-huh. Anything else interesting in here? Set of rewards. Black Ideals. Nourish those ruins. Hidden Lifeline. Run upon the barrens and pass on the seed of life and hope. Alright. Interesting. Huh. Well, I don't know right now, so depart. Whoa, what am I looking at? Holy shit, this looks wild. Okay, whoa. Londinium. Oh, Gibsonham. Oh, Bulletin. Each team has their own unique strengths, so let them fully make of them. Westroot Bound. Okay. Redmane Mountains. The logistics squad under your command is proficient in logistics and transportation. Their goal is to transport strategic supplies to Londinium. Battlefield of Originium and Gunfire. Oh my god, what is this now? God, what am I looking at? Select route. The battlefield is ever-changing. Plan your route with prudence and direct your squad to the city. Okay. Ah, I see. This is where this comes in, huh? Equipment failure. We encountered trouble. Originium dust has caused our precision instruments to malfunction. This is particularly concerning in an area prone to minor catastrophes. Please advise. Okay. Try tinkering with the faulty equipment to make sure it can be used in future. Okay, they're all on 100%. Dismantle the faulty equipment and reuse the parts and power supplies. Give up on repairs. The top priority is to complete the mission ASAP. Okay, let's go with this. We encountered trouble. Originium dust has caused our precision instruments to malfunction. Okay, radical on-site modification. Try tinkering. We successfully adapted it to our current environment. Huh, neat. Okay. Proceed. Unsafe ground, minor catastrophes, support platform. Minor catastrophes? We have discovered a possible pattern in the onset of minor catastrophes in certain areas, but this is just speculation with no hard evidence. Some team members have suggested we analyze it based on existing intelligence. Please advise. Okay, these two are 100%. Reject the suggestion. Our current priority is to advance towards Londinium. Half the team will analyze the data to find a pattern, while the rest will take a breather to maintain equipment and check supplies. Okay, the middle one. Adopt the suggestion and fully commit to the analysis. If you can compile a reliable set of catastrophe data, it will greatly benefit the rest of the mission. Ooh, 91%? Sure. Operation success. We obtain a set of reliable data and its pattern does cohere with the incoming catastrophe in the concentrated active Originium event. Okay. Proceed. Minor catastrophe again, wasteland bandits and escapees. Rescue mission, escapees, let's go. Okay. We ran into some refugees who claimed to be settlers on the surrounding wastes. Their settlements were destroyed by catastrophe and they are hoping we can provide them supplies to survive on as they fled with nothing. Please advise. Okay, this one is 72%. Give them enough supplies to operate in the Barrens. Give them necessities and to survive. Give them enough supplies for a long journey through the Barrens. Sure. The refugees were extremely grateful for our help. Continue. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, continue. This is gonna go on. Support, minor catastrophe, unsafe ground. Support. Oh, okay. Following a message from Closure, we proceeded to a nearby location for a support mission. We discovered a wrecked transport drone and its cargo. A small combat platform with the ID... Phono R-0. The platform is currently offline. Please advise. Completing the final mission can greatly increase your logistic ability. Is an urgent mission, you must begin repairs at once. Okay, yeah, 100%. We repaired Phono 0. Our squad will travel with her until the next transport drone arrives. Alright. Squads led by Operator Closure, Fang, and Misery have reached the battlefield and are preparing to establish a comms network. All teams, please provide support alongside your duties. Also, I see thresholds up here. Oh, decision left 1, that's why. Before... Oh. Choices made during emergency events. I'm guessing after this it hits an emergency event. Okay, let's see. Urgent news, support platform 2 out of 3. Let's do that. Doctor, we have connected with the drone dispatch to support Phono 0, Phono 0, sorry, and are currently modifying it as Closure directed. However, there is a disagreement. Phono wants to be modified and carry out the mission alone, while Closure believes we should continue modifying the drone and work together. Please advise. Phono can act alone. Trust Closure's judgment as an engineer. Sure. Trust in Closure. Receive news from Closure. You know I'm right, Doctor. I can't believe she's insisting on acting alone, even in such a dangerous place. I usually don't disagree with the combat platforms, though. Is that the power of kinship? Yes. Okay. Okay, yeah. Handle emergency. Objective Londinium. Prolonged sieges have transformed the city into a nightmare. The squad is about to enter the war zone and has already detected significantly elevated levels of airborne active originium. Brace yourself, this journey will be treacherous. Okay. Oh, this is gonna be an actual assignment. We have entered the war zone and can clearly see originium clusters in the strange weather. We will provide live updates on any further encounters. Please be ready to advise. Please clear main theme 14 and 11 to unlock. Ah. Oh, so I'm stuck? Also, I just noticed there was a collect all button. Okay. Oh, wait. Sudden catastrophe. Okay, I don't think I can do anything for now. Okay. So if I go back... Okay. It's stuck here until I clear 14 and 11. Okay. Cool. Okay. I'm gonna leave it at that. Interesting. That's an interesting little minigame. But yeah, anyway.